crack being found in this country in considerable quantity.
And will privatisation help clean up our rivers and sea?
He did die once, and they brought him back to life again, you know. It was absolutely awful, and all because of the water at Southend.
That's Thames Reports, tonight at 6:30.
Massacre in Beijing, new estimates speak of 5,000 or more killed. Hong Kong residents want the handover to China to be scrapped. After Khomeini's death, the power struggle to succeed him. Human error, says Gorbachev, was the root cause of the Soviet train disaster. Hello, I'm John Suchet. Welcome to News at 1. Massacre in China, turmoil in Iran, tragedy in Russia. Our programme today is dominated by three events that happened at the weekend, but the effect of which will be the subject of detailed analysis. First, China. And it seems the estimate of the numbers killed by soldiers is growing day by day. Two new estimates, apparently based on official information, refer to death tolls of 5 or even 7,000. Diplomats speak of more than 1,000. Whatever the figure, that it was slaughter by soldiers of unarmed civilians on a mass scale is not in doubt. It was possibly the worst such slaughter for half a century. There has been revulsion throughout the Western world, where leaders are unanimous in condemning the Chinese government. But the Soviets have so far said nothing. In China itself, the demonstrations for freedom have now become demonstrations of protest. Funeral marches have been held in Shanghai and the cities of Changsha, Shenyang and Changchun. And in Beijing, there is a crucial split in the body of men who have it in their power to ensure the success or bring about the failure of the crackdown, the army. Our man in Beijing is Jeremy Thompson.
The army now holds the key to China's appalling power struggle. All day, the crackle of gunfire has haunted this capital city. Convoys of troop carriers charge through the streets, soldiers shooting at random, sometimes at people, often just into the air. Helicopters guided army hit squads to disperse any signs of resistance. Palls of smoke rose from trucks set on fire by defiant crowds. There are fears that some elements of the military are running out of control. Growing signs that the army is not united. Tiananmen Square is held by front-line veterans of the 27th Army, loyal to President Yan Shangkun. It was they who carried out Sunday's massacre. Today, eyewitnesses saw them mow down more waves of cycling students. In 2 days, these soldiers have turned the Avenue of Everlasting Peace into China's street of eternal shame. Further out, there was evidence of other military units in disarray. Curious crowds gathered round a column of 73 burned-out armoured cars and trucks. Troops had abandoned their vehicles, apparently setting some ablaze themselves. The military command warned today that the offensive wasn't over. They described Sunday's attack as merely the initial victory in a long fight against a handful of counter-revolutionaries they called the dregs of society. But Beijing citizens say it is the Communist Party leaders who are the handful out of step with society. Few now believe the government propaganda. As the full horror of the bloodletting began to sink in today, residents wandered the streets, numbed and outraged.
And I really feel angry, really, about this, incredible violence.
声援我们中国人民吧，
真的。
声援我们，一定要声援我们。
And I can hardly find any words to speak.
所以说，你不能不给天狗直接对就好了。这么大小孩都死了。
What do the people think?
这么大小孩都死了，有这么残忍不？这闹的没有？
We think that we should live peacefully. We don't want the army. We don't want the gunshot and the fire. Army firing at the innocent people. We are not a handful. Only the leadership.
But the slaughter slaughter goes on unabated. We visited hospital morgues piled high with bodies.
Despite all these efforts to thwart them, the army looks set to stay indefinitely. Their presence the only way that this current Communist Party leadership can stay in control. The government of the people has become totally discredited in the eyes of the people. The massacre ordered by those in power has pushed China to the verge of anarchy. Jeremy Thompson, ITN, Beijing.
Here in London, the Chinese chargé d'affaires is being summoned to the Foreign Office this afternoon to be told of Britain's outrage. At the same time, the future of Hong Kong and incompetence was partly to blame for the gas explosion which killed about 600 people, many of them children. He said liquid gas began leaking from a pipeline running parallel to the Trans-Siberian Railway late on Saturday, flowing down a small valley towards the track for more than 3 hours. But when workers at the local pumping station noticed a fall in pressure, they increased the flow of gas without first checking the cause. A spark from the trains was all that was needed to cause the huge explosions. One of the trains was carrying holidaymakers from Novosibirsk, the largest town in Siberia, to the Black Sea resort of Adler. The disaster happened on a remote section of the line near the city of Ufa, about 750 miles from Moscow.
Overnight, the liquefied gas from the pipeline was still ablaze. The emergency services had evacuated the survivors from the...
And the Soviet leader, Mr. Gorbachev, has said human incompetence was partly to blame for the gas explosion which engulfed 2 trains, killing about 600 people at the weekend. And that's News at 1. The weather with Trish Williamson is next. Until tomorrow at 1. Bye-bye.
Hello, thank you, John. Well, it's another cool, showery day.